funny thing is, you wait years and years for these moments. This is the third watch in the Surfer trilogy. It's underneath my hand. I've been waiting what feels like years to reveal this to you. Then the moment comes and you don't know how to say what you need to say, how to tell this story. This is the third watch in the Surfer trilogy that we embarked on with Zenith in 2021 with the Defy Classic Skeleton Night Surfer. And it concludes with this. You ready for this? The Defy Skyline Skeleton White Surfer in white ceramic. So this is my personal story of how this watch came to be and how our first ever big limited edition, the Defy Classic Skeleton in 2021, how did we go from this to a trilogy? I was talking to Marcus about how to phrase this review before we started filming, and he said, dude, how many movies are good enough to deserve a sequel? And how few movies are good enough that extend themselves to a natural trilogy? We went through a few. Obviously there's Star Wars, there's Rocky, there's Indiana Jones, and I think in the watch world, there's the Night Surfer. This is a watch that captured your imagination. This one led to a sequel 2 years later in the Defy Skyline Skeleton El Primero with a vast movement upgrade. So how and why do we justify and explain a third edition? If I can quote The Dark Knight, it was always darkest before the dawn, because the idea began to hatch that somehow, despite already having a sequel, the story was not complete. The trilogy was still to be written, and that came in the form of an idea of this nighttime midnight blue, of this twilight gradient blue dial, going all the way through that darkest point in the evening to the crisp white morning light of the day after. And that led us to begin to look at how could we capture this white tone in the material of the case and bracelet. And our first thought there was ceramic. Is there anything that pops quite as hard on the wrist in this summertime ocean context as a white ceramic bracelet and case? And when it came to the style and finishing of that white ceramic, is there anything better than a mix of a really heavily brushed white ceramic with polished elements? And again, this watch on wrist, as you roll it, really glints and catches the light, almost like the sun sparkling on the water. And the next question was, how could we upgrade the blue gradient concept to more than just a light sky tone of the morning? And the answer to that, my friends, was to blue the movement itself. There has been a steady progression of movement finishing on the dial side of this watch since the story began. In the original Night Surfer story, the movement remained uncolored. It was quite utilitarian and visibly steely beneath the liquid blue gradient of the bridges. In the sequel, we see a darkened movement with elements of the movement steel in steel behind the liquid gradient of the bridges. And now, in the final watch in the trilogy, we have a sympathetic ice blue color treatment to all of the movement. So what this effect has on the watch is that it almost blocks the color, so that the gradient from a light blue at the base all the way to a dark blue at the top is even more consistent and pleasing to the eye, because there's no jarring with the color of the movement behind it. So in addition to the white ceramic, and in addition to the now colored movement behind the bridges, there is one other big bonus to the White Surfer white ceramic, and that is the second strap. Now, we are entering summer in London. I don't know if you can see out the windows. It is a 30-degree day here in London, and everyone is out on the streets. The beer gardens are full, and the strap of choice for a summer day like this, without question, is a rubber strap, and a white rubber strap at that. So this watch now comes with a second strap in addition to all of those incremental improvements. So inside the case, we have the El Primero 3620 SK movement, which beats at 5 Hz. And like the Night Surfer El Primero, the watch has a screw-down crown and 100 meters of water resistance. It is a 41 millimeter case, and it is 12.2 millimeters thick. Now, I would say for a 41 millimeter case, this wears on the larger side because those first two links are slightly cambered. And on the wrist, it is balanced, it is sporty, and it is so cool thanks to that eminently wearable and scratch resistant white ceramic. Now, I have a 7-inch wrist, and this watch fits absolutely perfectly. Now, those first links are slightly cambered, so it does wear broad on a 7-inch wrist, but I think you'll agree, these proportions are absolutely perfect. This is the end of a trilogy that was never intended to be one. This is the end of a wave that has just gone on and on, the longest shore break possible. I have loved every minute of collaborating and working with Zenith. To me, Zenith represent the heart of watchmaking. They are a movement manufacturer almost without peer, and there is not a watch lover on this planet that does not respect what Zenith continues to contribute to fine watchmaking. This watch is limited to 100 pieces and will never be made again. This watch does complete the Night Surfer trilogy, and this watch is available from Time+Tide and from select Zenith boutiques around the world. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have been as pleased as I have been by this final installment in the Surfer trilogy. And in closing, always go out for one more ride. See you on the next one.